I'm going to music special, and can't you tell that I feel swell? I'm gonna clap along and sing my favorite song and all to listen music special.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to music class. I really enjoy this time that we spend together, and I hope that you do too. And I want to thank you again for coming every week and for paying attention. This week we're going to practice counting a little bit. Those notes that we learned last week, eighth notes, quarter notes, half notes, and so on. We'll also talk about the guitar and what instrument is that. We'll watch Frank Zappa and Stevie Vaughan play a little bit. And finally we'll learn what accidentals are, which are the black keys on the piano keyboard. So join me. Okay everybody, let's practice counting some of the rhythms that we learned about last week. I'll put some notes up here and we will try to clap them. Let's start with a quarter note. Add another quarter note. Put in some eighth notes. And another pair of eighth notes. Okay, so if you recall, that's one beat for each of these, and each of these has half of a beat. So let's give it a try. One, two, three, and four, and. Try it one more time with me. One, two, ready, go. Okay, good. Let's try another one. Let's start with some eighth notes. Put in another pair. And then a half note. Okay, let's try it. One, two, ready, go. Do you see how we did that? 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Let's do one more. Start with some eighth notes. I'm in an eighth note kind of mood today. And we'll put in a quarter rest, followed by another pair of eighth notes, and a quarter rest. So like that last time, I'm going to clap it, and then I'm going to repeat it again and again. Try it with me. 1, 2, ready, go. One and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4.
What instrument is that? What instrument is that? How does it sound? Where is it found? But first of all, you must tell me now, what instrument is that?
Okay everybody, the 8 of diamonds is the guitar. That includes the acoustic guitar and the electric guitar. Allow me to read it to you. Predecessors of the modern guitar were seen in Spain as early as the 1200s. Guitars may have between 4 and 18 strings, with 6 strings being the most common. The guitar is played by picking or strumming the strings. Acoustic guitars come in many shapes, sizes, and ranges. The electric guitar was invented in the 1930s and requires an amplifier. Guitars are played in many genres of music, including jazz, popular, blues, bluegrass, country, Latin, mariachi, rock, and soul. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this card means. That first sentence, which talks about predecessors, well, predecessor is something that comes before something else. So a predecessor of the guitar would be a very early kind of guitar, like a stringed instrument, which doesn't really sound like a guitar does today, but it gave the idea to the people who then went on to make guitars. Guitars may have between 4 and 18 strings, with 6 strings being the most common. Well, yes, there are many different kinds of guitars. Most bass guitars, although this isn't about bass guitars, well, most bass guitars do have 4 strings. Many guitars have 12 strings, which is just like a doubling of the normal 6 strings. And 18-stringed guitars, I've never seen one of those, but apparently they do exist. Let me show you the difference between an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar. This is the acoustic, well actually this one is called an acoustic electric guitar, but really if I'm just playing it like this, it's just an acoustic guitar. It's called an acoustic electric because I can also plug it in to an amplifier so that I could play it for a lot of people to be much louder. These strings vibrate, and inside of this hollow body the sound echoes and is amplified just naturally. Now let's have a look at an electric guitar. It's heavier, it's solid. Plug it into an amplifier here. But the way you play the electric guitar is just the same, basically, as the way you play the acoustic guitar. Makes a different sound, of course. So when we listen to Frank Zappa and Stevie Ray Vaughan, which we'll do right now, you will hear 2 masters of this instrument play. One, Frank Zappa, is playing the electric guitar, and Stevie Ray Vaughan is playing the acoustic. So let's have a look at those guys, and then we'll return. Okay, everybody, let's talk about accidentals now. I've taken the liberty of pre-filling out our whiteboard. You see that I've put the letter names of all the keys down here on the keys. I've drawn the treble clef already, and I've also drawn a G note and an A note. This C right here, by the way, is middle C. The C basically the closest to the middle of the piano, and if you remember, we draw the middle C down here below the staff on an imaginary line, because it would be on the next line down if there were a line down there. So that's what middle C looks like on the musical staff. C, D, E, F, G. So G is right on the line, and A above G is right in the space. Okay, so on the piano, this G is a white key. And this A is also a white key, the one right above it, G and A. But what if I wanted to play this black key right here? I'm going to play G and then this black key and then A. Listen. Now I'm going to go back down. A, black key, G. I'm stepping a half step when I go to that black key. So, when I go from G up to that black key, I'm going to call it G sharp. So I need to draw a sharp symbol. Right next to the G on the line, just like the G is, I've drawn a sharp symbol. It looks basically like the number sign. Let me just make it a little bit better. Or I suppose you call it the pound key on the telephone. Okay, good. So G sharp. Sharp means we go up in music. G, G sharp. But let's say I start on A and I go down to the black key. Then we'll call it A flat. And the flat symbol is like an italicized B. And you see I put that right in the space as well. Right next to the A note, there is the flat symbol. By the way, they don't come written in different colors. All of them would be black if you're reading a musical score. I'm only making them red to make them a little bit easier for you to see. So A flat. So this black key right here indeed has two names. It's called G sharp, and it's also called A flat. Now, the one that you call it depends on some other things like musical theory, and we might get a chance to talk about that a little bit later this year. But just know for now that it is called G sharp and A flat, and that sharp means we're going up, and that flat means we're going down. So let's look at this key right here, the black key between the C and the D. I'll draw a D here as well. So I'm putting it on the space right between that bottom line of the staff, which would be an E, and this imaginary line which the C sits upon. And just to make things a little bit easier to understand, I think I should erase these other notes that we've already drawn as well. so that you don't think we're supposed to play chords. Okay, so I have a C and a D. If I were to match those up with their keys on the keyboard, this is where the C is, and the D, of course, is right next to it. So, if I go from C up to that black key, what would it be called? C sharp. If I were to go from D down to this black key, what would it be called? D flat. Well, thanks for joining me again for our music special class, and I'll see you again next week.
Well, I'm going to music special, and can't you tell that I feel swell? I'm gonna clap along and sing my favorite song, and all to listen music special.